large growth cycles are completely inevitable. And what I'm saying here is you have periods of stabilization, don't get me wrong, and you have periods where markets go sideways, slightly backwards, up, and just stabilize for a long period of time. But what happens there is markets do inherently, what happens is they have built up demand. And now, don't get me wrong, the demand can be delayed by a number of factors. So a good example of that is interest rate cuts. It can be delayed by. Another good example of that might be policy. Another good example that might be just general sentiment in the market in terms of what most people are told on the nightly news, because people do follow the herd. It's just what they do. But when it breaks, what happens is everyone then overpiles in. So it's generally an overreaction all the time to markets. And I previously got this into this in a different episode, but this is what you'll see that will happen. So when it breaks, everyone will pile in, and it's generally an overreaction. So people overreact to markets either going sideways or backwards, and they'll also overreact to markets going up. And everyone piles in at the same time. So I'll just give you two examples here of Perth and Brisbane. You can see Perth here did nothing for basically 92 to about 02, and then everyone piled in right to about 07, 08, and it did some absolutely insane numbers. It's like 150% or something like that. So markets generally do, somewhere between 60 and 120% growth. But when you have, and this is in a cycle, but when you have a market cycle like this, when it goes completely silent for a long time, what happens is the market overshoots its average, and then over the long term, it'll undershoot its average, which brings it to its long-term average. That's what happens. So if you look at also Brisbane there again, like you can see there as well, you had nothing from about 2012 probably right through to about, I'd say 2019 maybe, like that, or you could probably even argue probably even 2010. Like it's probably something like that. So that's almost 10 years of no growth, nothing at all. But it had a lot of the right fundamentals going in the market, good economy, more diversifying, a lot of wealthier people moving in, some even wealthier internationals coming into Brisbane. Newly, which was quite uncommon a number of years ago. It's becoming more common now. And then that you had that massive boom, and that's still going up now, mind you. It's still got a bit to go, should I say. So that's what happens. It just overshoots its averages. Perth, if you want to extrapolate from, your 2018, 19 right through to probably today, it'd probably look something similar as well. But that's what happens when you have built up demand for a long period. So that's no different to Sydney and Hobart here. So you'll see on the left here, Hobart basically between 02 and about 2014 had basically next to no growth, like very little, maybe 10, 20% max. And then it just overshot, went basically ballistic from about 2014 right through to about 2022. And that's more than doubled in that period alone. So it's no different there either. Hobart averages about 6.5 to 7% growth, but it did nothing for a long time. So it's just catching up to its long-term average. Sydney no different either, from right through to about 2012, from about 02 as well, did next to nothing. And then you could probably argue it did from pretty much, I'd say, probably late 2013, 2014, right through to about 2022, a big number. But that late 2022 number is largely because of interest rates being so low. Probably would have done half of that, but still a large growth cycle. Property's more than doubled between that time period. So look, they're no different to the market, should I say. They have, much, should I say, like longer growth cycles generally. But that's what can happen when things are cheap for a long period of time. So you don't want to be that person who's getting in when everyone else is piling in, because when you see it really kick up like it is there, what you have happening is just people paying anything for a property. You're not really thinking logically and getting them for good prices. So it's much better to get in when it's stabilizing or at the very bottom of the cycle. Now, what do I think of all of this? Now, I've gone into all the cities, I've gone into behavioral analysis, I've gone into, all the benefits, the reasons why you should buy in it, where every market is at. And if everyone has followed my content for quite a while, you will know that Melbourne is absolutely the number one draft pick, 100% in this market. It's your number one draft pick, shortly followed by probably Geelong, your inner Geelong markets. And I previously have done a graph and I've just circled a few things here, so I'll get just quickly into that there. So on the left here, bottom left, you'll see downturning stagnation in Melbourne. You got your large downturning stagnation from 92 to 97. You had a smaller one also between 2007 and 2012, and now you got the biggest one so far between 2017 and 2025 here, and we're off the bottom now. I can tell you that right now. Your upturns and booms, you have two major ones I'll get into. So first of all, you had your large major one between pretty much 97 and 2007, so that's for about 10 years. It more than doubled in that period. You've then got also your short, sharp 2012 to 2017 boom. So that property prices didn't double, but they're close to. They're not far off. And now where we're at is I've got your 2025 to 2030 question mark. And the reason I've got that in there is because this is your turn for the major boom in Melbourne. It's not going to be a boom for a couple years. This will run of an upturn for probably somewhere between 2 and 4 years, I think. You'll have an upturn of the market. Then you'll have a boom from about somewhere between 18 months and 2 years, something like that. And it'll do some crazy numbers because it'll be compounding on what's already gone up in that period. So I think you got to run for at least 5 to 7 years, in my opinion, here of Melbourne. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do, 10% every year. It might do, a couple percent here, a couple percent there. Then you might have 1 or 2 years worth of, a 15 to 25% boom, something like that. It'll go up a lot. That's what's coming for Melbourne. And now you can see here, Melbourne is our best performer by a country mile. This is the CoreLogic 30-year report, so you can go over and have a look at it. It is publicly available through Google search and CoreLogic's website. I think they call themselves Catality today or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but that's publicly available information. This is what's coming in the market. You don't want to be on the backside of this. You don't want to be getting in late 20s or 2030 when it's already done 50% growth or something like that, or maybe even 100 by that time. I don't know. But this is the number one draft pick. You can see it's consistently our best performer. It's got the lowest standard deviation of any market. This is the market to buy. We've got a super cycle, as in a large boom coming up. And this is exactly why you should buy it. So, for those that are really interested in Melbourne, I suggest looking at some of my previous Melbourne episodes, especially the regions to buy in and the suburbs to buy in. And that's exactly what you should do. It is definitely our best pick in the market.